2024 is almost over, and I think it's a good time to look back over the year and see which are the best cocktails I made this year. I'm Matt, I'm the whiskey nerd, and while my channel does focus on whiskey, I also make whiskey cocktails, and I make a lot of whiskey cocktails in a year. So I decided now we were at the end of 2024, I'd put together a little video listing my 3 favorite cocktails I made this year, with the only condition being that they had to be cocktails I made new this year. So it couldn't be one I've tried in previous years, just ones that I tried out this year for the first time. And we're going to start off this list with a really nice cocktail I made really early in the year. We're going to be making an orange whiskey sour. Now this, I think, is also sometimes called a stone sour, but you know, I called it an orange whiskey sour. I found it to be a really nice cocktail. Essentially just a whiskey sour with you using a little bit of orange juice instead of just doing lemon juice. So you split the base, have a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of lemon juice, and then slightly less sugar syrup than you would normally use in a whiskey sour, because the orange juice is going to be a bit sweeter than the lemon juice. So if you went in with a full amount of the sugar syrup, then you're just going to make a really sweet cocktail. It is a shake and drink, so we're going to get our shaker tin, and we're going to go in by throwing a nice rock of ice into there before we measure out our ingredients. Starting off with our whiskey, I always go in with a nice kind of strong whiskey. So this here is the Paddy's Share Irish whiskey. It's a nice blended Irish whiskey, but it comes in at 47% alcohol by volume. So it has enough flavour, enough weight to kind of stand up to the other strong flavours in the cocktail, because orange juice, if you're not careful, it can often overpower the rest of the ingredients in your cocktail. So that there was 60ml or 2 ounces of my whiskey. Now I'm going to go in with freshly squeezed orange juice. I'm going to go in with 30ml or 1 ounce of that. Follow it up with my freshly squeezed lemon juice, 15ml or half an ounce into there, and then again 15ml of my sugar syrup. Again, this is just simple 2-to-1 sugar syrup, 1 part sugar, 1 part water. Boil it up until it all melts and you get a nice simple sugar syrup into there, and then 1 egg white that I've already pre-separated from an egg into there, just like that. Pop the lid on and shake it away for about 30 seconds until you get it nice and cold. Okay, I think this is nicely chilled now, so I'm going to bang the top off my shaker tin, and I'm going to get ready to strain it out. We'll be straining it out into a nice coupe glass, just like that. It's going to pop the top on my shaker, pop that on just like that. Get this really nice foamy cocktail right to the top, just like that. And then for a garnish, what we're going to do is we're going to get a little dehydrated piece of orange, float that over the top, and then a couple of drops of orange bitters just on the other side, just to add a little bit of extra orange kind of note and orange flavour to the cocktail when you bring it up to your mouth. Now, while we wait for this one here to settle, we're going to make the next 2 of my cocktails. So we're going to clear these ingredients off the table and get ready to make that one. This one cocktail is one I tried again kind of earlier in the year, but I've been remaking it a lot throughout the year. We're making an Irish blonde with this Bushmills Irish whiskey. The cocktail is actually pretty simple. It calls for the Bushmills whiskey. It calls for a little bit of Fino Sherry, which is kind of like a dry sherry. It's a little bit like, it has a bit of savoury notes, has a little bit of like a structure and backbone to a cocktail, because we only even use a little bit of it, but it's going to add a lot of flavour. Use a little bit of orange flavoured liqueur, which is here triple sec. That's going to give us a nice bit of like a sweetness to the cocktail, and again a little bit of orange bitters just to round it out. It's a stirred drink, so we're going to get our mixing glass, and then we're going to pop in another fresh rock of ice into there so we can stir around all our ingredients. Starting off with our very nice Bushmills Irish whiskey. This is a single malt. It was finished in Marsala wine casks, Malaga wine casks, which gives us this nice bit of like fruity sweetness on top of like that biscuity single malt flavour that is just really nice. I'm going to go in with 50ml of this into there, and then I'm going to go in with 20ml of my triple sec. This is going to be giving us a nice bit of sweetness, but then like I said, that the Bushmills whiskey is already kind of nice and sweet. It's kind of nice and balanced. So this here is going to give us a little bit of extra kind of sweetness and a little bit of extra fruitiness into our cocktail, just like that. Then this really nice Fino Sherry. Like I said, it's a little bit dry. It's almost a little bit like savory, so it does add a nice bit of backbone, but you don't want to use too much of it, otherwise it'll be all you can taste. So I'm going to go in with just 7.5 mil, or like a 1/4 of an ounce into here, just like that. And then we're going to go in with 1 dash of orange bitters, just give us a little bit of extra flavor, a little bit of extra roundness. So I'm going to stir this for about 30 seconds to get really nice and really cold. Okay, this is nicely chilled now, so I'm going to get ready to strain it out into a little Nick and Nora glass, just like that. So I'm going to get my strainer, pop that up top, catch that ice cube, and just go away just like that. For a garnish on this cocktail, I'm going to get a little bit of an orange zest, express the oils over the top, get all those oils nice and onto it, discard that one and get a fresh one that I've added a little bit of a cut to, so I can pop a little bit like that. That there is an Irish Blonde, and my next drink is a stirred drink, so I'm going to wash out my mixing glass and I'll be right back. And thanks to movie magic, I've also been able to grab all of my ingredients for my third and final cocktail. This here is a ginger and rhubarb lemon spritz. So it's a really nice cocktail that I actually tried at a bar here in Dublin called Bar 60 and 61, and they created this cocktail with this whiskey here in mind. It's a single pot still whiskey from the Bowan distillery. It's nice, it's kind of spicy, it's kind of sweet. It was finished off in Marsala wine cask, so it has this, again, kind of fruitiness, kind of sweetness, but that pot still spice has this almost like gingery, spicy note to it, so I wanted to recreate this cocktail. Like I said, it is going to be a stir drink, so we're going to get our mixing glass, pop a nice rock of ice into there before we measure out our ingredients. Starting off with our whiskey, we're going to go in with 45 ml or 1.5 ounces of our really nice single pot still whiskey, just like that, into there. And then we're going to go in with our lemon juice. We're going to go in with 15 ml of our lemon juice, and then we're going to go in with our rhubarb bitters. Now these rhubarb bitters actually put in a lot of work in the cocktail, like you might not expect it, but that has a really nice strong kind of pungent flavor. So we're going to go in with 1, 2, 3 dashes of our rhubarb bitters, and we're just going to play around with that, and it's going to give us a nice bit of flavor. So we're going to mix these real quick, but then we're going to stir it out and strain it out onto another rock of ice. So you just want to make sure all those ingredients get nice and mixed and lightly chilled, because we are going to be straining this onto a nice rock of ice in a tall kind of rocks glass. We're going to get another rock of ice, pop that in there, strain it out, because we are going to be finishing it off with a bit of nice ginger soda, so we don't want to be adding that while we're mixing, otherwise you're just going to lose all the bubbles. So just there, nice and simple, onto that fresh rock of ice. If you wanted to, you could mix it in the same glass, but because this is nice and it's kind of fragile, I just wanted to do it in my mixing glass. But if you got more sturdy glasses, you can of course just mix it away straight in the glass. Get my nice new ginger ale. This is from Fever Tree. Very nice kind of ginger ale. It gets slightly spicy. It's just kind of nice. It has a nice gingery kick, like proper like ginger rather than just like sugary sweet ginger soda. It's like a proper almost ginger beer. Just gonna pour away. Not being real precise, just making it almost like a little highball. Getting a nice lemon wedge. Pop that in there. That right there is a ginger and rhubarb spritz, and these are 3 of my favorite cocktails that I made this year. So real quick, before I taste these cocktails, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews every Wednesday, including reviews of all those whiskeys. I put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey like these every Friday, so if you want to see more, make sure you scroll down, hit that thumbs up button. Let me know what your favorite cocktail you tried this year was, and for now, let's just taste these cocktails, starting off with the orange sour, which has nicely settled now. Cheers. Oh, that is really lovely. It is surprisingly balanced. Like orange juice, if you use it in a cocktail, it can often dominate. It can be the only thing you taste, but because I didn't use a huge amount of it here, there's a bit of lemon juice there to add a bit of extra citrusy kick. The whiskey I used was nice and strong, up at 47%, so it has a bit more weight and just adds a nice kind of balance to the cocktail, and it makes it really tasty. Like it's obviously an orange sour, but again, it's an orange whiskey sour, so there's not just that one note. Now the Irish Blonde. Cheers. Very, very different vibe to the whiskey sour, because the whiskey sour, it's quite rich and thick and dense. This here is a bit lighter, a bit more kind of floral and fragrant, but still rich and full of flavor. Like the whiskey has this really nice biscuity taste. It's lifted up by the triple sec, giving you a bit of orange and sweetness, but that backbone of the Fino Sherry gives it, I know I only use a small amount, but it really gives it a nice contrast. So you can taste the sherry influence, but then you can taste all those other flavors there in from the whiskey, in from the triple sec, just making a nice, really nice balanced cocktail. And lastly, onto my kind of highball style, but like a low ball highball cocktail. Cheers. Oh yeah. Again, all different vibes. Like we got kind of a classic kind of stirred drink, we got a sour in a shaken drink, and we got a kind of a highball style drink here. All very different, but all very, very nice. This here, you can really get that gingery taste coming through from the ginger ale and the kind of spiciness of the whiskey, but then you get the rhubarb flavor, like those rhubarb bitters. You only use a small amount of it, but they give a lot of flavor. And then the little bit of like that lemon juice, adding a bit of a citrusy twang, adding in a bit of a different direction, just making for 3 really, really interesting cocktails that I know I'm definitely going to enjoy later on today. So like I said, if you want to leave me a comment down below, let me know what your favorite cocktail you tried this year was. And if you want to see me make a different kind of cocktail in 2025, let me know down below, because I'm always on the lookout for new recipes. Now, I don't know which I'm going to go for first, so I'm just going to go for the one in the middle, and I'll see you next time. Sláinte.